There's a topic that haunts me even now. After 25 years of photographing, I still get stumped in determining whether I want my image to be black and white or whether I want my image to be color. Hey guys, this is 𝐒𝐎𝐏. I'm a fashion and wildlife photographer. Let's start with, why do you want black and white, or why do you want color? And the answer goes back to the same thing that I keep speaking about: emotions. If you want your images not to be photos and you want your images to be images, then you need to think about emotions. And why should a subject give you more emotions than a colorful subject? That is what the question comes down to. Black and white, color. More emotions, less emotions, or less emotions, more emotions, depending on what you want, depending on what kind of emotion you want to portray off the photograph. So what I normally do before going to photograph a subject, I normally research it to death. I'm on the computer, I'm looking at videos, I'm on the computer, I'm looking at images of unbelievable photographers and videos of unbelievable videographers. And I'm trying to figure out, what is this animal doing? What is this animal eating? When does the animal lift the head up? Because that's is so important, because depending on where you are with your height of your camera, which was the video that I had done previously, I believe it was last week, when the animal lifts up its head from eating, then is the time to take a photograph. Because normally when the animal is dipping down and eating, whether it be grass or whether it be another animal, it's looking down, and for the most part those images don't work. Anyway, what has that got to do with black and white? Well, what it has to do with black and white is that when an animal is looking down and you're photographing your subject from here, then you don't have a lot of leeway. So the animal and the background is, or the animal's face and the background is almost at the same tonality, right? So if it's eating grass, it's gray. If the animal is a mountain lion, that's gray as well, because it's in the same tonality. So the gray and the gray will never make a good black and white image. Now I know how my animal behaves. And I also know when the animal runs and when the animal doesn't run, when the animal is sleeping, when the animal is up, because I'm thinking constantly and I'm thinking about what emotions do I want my images to have. Secondly, you got to take your camera, turn your camera into black and white. When I say turn your camera into black and white, I only mean the view can be turned into black and white. So this way you are seeing black and white. You can turn your camera view to show you only black and white while you're taking your photographs, but it's capturing color. So when you come back, you get a color image, and then you can say, hey, you know what? I saw it better on my camera this way. Let's do this, this, and this. The advantages of turning your camera into black and white, at least for the viewing aspect of things, is that you know exactly what's gray, you know exactly what's bright, you know exactly what's dark. Even if you want your image to be in color, if you start shooting in black and white, you know the tonality, you know the contrast, you know whether it's going to whether the focus of your viewer is going exactly to your subject or not. And say your subject is in a position where the background is not favoring your subject, then you can move with the black and white. For me, at least, what happens is when I'm shooting in color, I get distracted. Color is gorgeous. Color is beautiful. I get distracted with color. So I turn everything into black and white. And at this time and this stage of the game for me in photography, I can just look at a environment or a location and say, that's gray, that's light gray, that's dark gray, that's white, that's black, and so on and so forth. So I have worked it to a point where it's it's memory, but you can also do that with your camera. So turn your camera, if you want beautiful images, whether it be black and white or whether it be colored, turn it to black and white, less distractions, more focus. You'll know exactly what you're getting. And then you have best of the both worlds. You have their black and white, you have your color when you come back in front of the computer. Actually, I have to tell you a story about a time where I had a horrible, horrible time because I didn't follow these two rules. So what I do, I went to Chile to photograph the mountain lion. I didn't do any research. I had got into this position where I know everything. I don't need to research. So I didn't, which was bad. I was a little swollen headed. And though there was snow on the ground, but for the most part, there were really short bush all over the place that were kind of brown themselves. And the color of the mountain lion is the same tonality, brown, right? So now here I am, and I didn't turn my camera into black and white. So much for giving advice, right? I didn't turn the camera into black and white. I shot it in color, laziness. And I'm shooting and I'm happy and I'm like, oh my God, this is great. You know, I'm close to the mountain lion and taking my risks and doing what I have to do and actually walking alongside with her. 15 feet away, I was walking with a mountain lion and enjoying the trip, enjoying the photography. And I don't ever look at my images when I'm back in the hotel or whether I'm back in my tent or wherever I am. I don't look at them. I just, I have it in the card. Awesome. Pop it into the computer. If I have access to the computer, pop it into the computer, let it download. And that's that. And then I came back to New York. I came back home, put it into the computer. And that, I have to tell you, was the worst, one of the worst shoots I had ever done. I could not turn them into black and white. And I was looking at them in color and I didn't like them. I didn't like color. I could not achieve it in black and white because there wasn't enough contrast. Had I done my research, one, I would know that the small short bush in Chile were brown. Had I not been lazy and turned my camera into black and white, I would have seen it right there on location that I'm not getting a good contrast. I don't make a decision based on black. Should I make this black and white or should I make this color? I don't. What I do is I predetermine before leaving whether it should be in black and white or whether my images should be in color. Turning my snowy owl images into black and white won't serve the purpose because everything is white to begin with. Why should I turn them into black and white? They are color. So I don't predetermine whether it should be black and white or whether it should be color. I determine that when I come back and I'm watching it in front of the computer and I'm editing everything. That's when I determine whether it should be color or whether it should be black and white. But now I have the option and the best of both worlds. I've shot it in black and white, at least in my brain or in my viewfinder, but I've come back and I have a black and white image in my brain and I have a color image. And now I can say to myself, you know what? I think this is going to give me better emotions, or you know what? Black and white is going to give me better emotions. I've had more success with black and white. Simply because I'm distracted very, very, very easily. I get distracted, someone comes and sneezes outside over here. I'm going to get distracted. And the reason why I tend to stay with black and white is because there's no distraction. But I don't favor one over the other. I don't. When I'm doing color images, I'm doing color images. And I've determined already that when I go to shoot my snowy owls, it's going to be color. I have determined already whether I go to shoot my bald eagles, it's going to be black and white because the contrast between the head and the body in black and white is absolutely gorgeous. But then at the end of the day, I let the image make and help me make up my mind which one is going to be more emotional. But those are the few 2 or 3 tips that I've already given you guys, that helped me deciding But like I said, and I always will say this, the images will speak to you and the emotions will tell you what to do. If your image is emotional for you, it's going to be emotional for your audience. I hope this helped, guys, and I will speak to you guys in the next video. Thank you.